What's up, everyone? Welcome to FoundFlix. On this Ending Explained, we're looking at the much-hyped horror hit from A24, Talk to Me. In a fresh twist on the classic Ouija board gone wrong, a group of friends discovers how to conjure spirits by using an embalmed hand. They become hooked on the new thrill until one of them unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. There's a lot of lingering questions regarding the mysterious hand, its rules, and what goes down in the end. And we're here to tell you everything you need to know. Talk to Me exploded onto the festival scene last year, where it was quickly heralded as the next big thing in horror. You know, the scariest movie since whatever, usually Hereditary is the benchmark nowadays. Well then, is Talk to Me worth the hype? I have to say absolutely, and this is easily one of the best horror films of the year. Impressively, this is the feature film debut of Australian twin YouTubers the Philippou brothers. Typically when YouTubers make the leap to feature films, it's an absolute disaster. So extra kudos to the brothers for crafting something unique, brutal, and surprising at points, while also providing an excellent horror experience overall. It does have some great scares and gory moments, but you know what makes all that work? They actually spend time developing the characters and their respective relationships, so you actually give a crap when things go awry. It's something so lacking in movies nowadays, especially horror, and Talk to Me really stands at a level above the norm in that regard. Huh, what a concept. Take notes, Hollywood, because this is modern horror done right. So let's check out Talk to Me, breaking down the story's twists and turns, its important themes, while we learn about the ceramic hand and explaining the bummer ending. Our introductory sequence teases us a bit when it comes to using the mysterious supernatural hand at the heart of its story. We follow previous owners of the relic, and Duckett is found all cut up and looking entirely out of sorts. He quickly turns violent and goes for his brother with a knife. Cole does survive, but Duckett isn't so lucky. So even though we don't know anything yet about how things work, they are obviously quite dangerous. We then move on to meeting the sullen Mia, whose life has been upended after the death of her mother. They have a 2-year anniversary of her passing, and it's clear that Mia has still not recovered from the loss. And grief is a major theme of the movie as well as her personal story. How do we deal with a huge loss like that? For Mia at least, she seems to lay a lot of the blame on her father Max, to the extent that she's moved out of her family's home and stays with her best friend Jade's family instead. She's also really close with Jade's younger brother Riley, and helpfully picks him up from school when his sister forgets she's too preoccupied with her beau Daniel, which we learn Mia used to sort of date back in the day. Their sing-along, fueled car ride takes a dark turn when they happen upon a gravely wounded kangaroo. As Riley points out, it's in pain. They should end its suffering. Mia tentatively gears up the car to run it over, but at the last moment she just can't do it and swerves out of the way. This might seem minuscule, but I promise it will become important later. The hand has made its way to a new group of naive children, and Mia learns about a so-called party game being done by their pals Haley and Joss on social media. It sure looks like they're all being possessed, acting all crazy with black eyes and everything, but they assume it has to be a joke, right? However, Mia is hopeful that maybe it is real, giving her the faint glimmer of hope that she could somehow communicate with her mother's spirit. She has to see for herself, and drags Jade and Riley along to another spooky hand shindig. It's Josh and Haley who are now in possession of it, pulling out a white ceramic hand adorned in signatures and graffiti from previous players. As for where he got it, Josh is a bit cagey, only admitting that he got it from someone that got it from someone else. Man, thing really gets around. They pose to the group, who wants to go for a round, and Mia tosses her hat immediately into the ring. They first lay out the important ground rules of the whole setup here. First, you light a candle and make sure you're strapped in a chair. Then take the hand in yours and say, "Talk to me." This opens the door to a kind of purgatory spirit dimension between their realm and ours. The next step is to tell whatever spirit you encounter, "I let you in." The spirit will then possess the host, and interestingly, the vessels can still see what's happening, as though they are in the passenger seat of their own body. You never know which spirit you'll actually connect with, and Mia seeing hers freaks her out, causing her to break contact. The others all egg her on to try again, and this time she doesn't falter, allowing the spirit to enter and take over her body. Her eyes turn big and black, and she starts writhing violently in the chair. As her behavior gets more intense, the kids aren't frightened at all, but rather highly amused, all filming the occurrence on their cell phones with a complete and utter lack of awareness. The spirit then spots someone of particular interest amongst the crowd, turning its attention to Riley. They point right at him, growling, "I want you, I will break you." The kids are still yucking it up, and then there's another important final rule. Make sure to close the door by blowing out the candle right at 90 seconds. Any more time could be dangerous. This could potentially leave that door open, as well as allowing the spirit to stay indefinitely in the host's body. Yeah, definitely keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the kids finding this whole thing just to laugh, I actually found this weirdly believable. It's clear that kids are completely numb and desensitized by their screens, and the hand actually provides them with some kind of real thrill, something that they are all obviously lacking in their lives. There's also, as before mentioned, the kind of party game reminiscent of the Luigi board. Kids would all gather around and play a game, even though the entire concept is that you're tapping into a supernatural realm to communicate with spirits. Not exactly ideal for children, you know? The same goes for the hand. No one really even believes it's real, and besides, nobody got hurt or anything, right? It's just something cool to post on the grams. It also feels like this concept also applies specifically to Mia. She's in search of feeling something in her life without her mother, and even though it looked pretty spooky, she actually found it exhilarating and amazing, almost seeming euphoric in a way. Riley is certainly rattled at least, and unable to sleep, seeks his sister for comfort. She pushes him away once more, but his phobic sister Mia is happy to fill the role. She admits to being lonely, and Riley assures her that she'll always have him and assist. She tells him about a recurring nightmare where she's all alone, and to her horror sees that she has no reflection, as though she's vanished entirely from existence. The thrill is too hard to deny, and soon the gang propose another go with the hand to Haley. This time Daniel wants to try it out. He has a very different experience with his spirit, which seems quite lustful, constantly moaning and licking her, I guess, lips. The embarrassment continues when he topples over in the chair and proceeds to make out with Cookie the dog. Yeah, pretty humiliating, and really illustrates the different kinds of random personalities they might encounter in the spirit realm. The rest of the group all take a turn, and all without incident. Well, outside of the many brief possessions, it was also around this part that I started really noticing how the vessels react. Again, with a euphoria or a kind of high when they're connecting to the spirits. And it made me wonder if this ritual also represents drug use in a way as well. You know, it's dangerous, but you do it anyway. So far, it's true that everything has been safe enough, that is, until Riley wants to take a turn. Jade refuses to allow him, even with the others suggest letting him go for less time. She leaves in a huff, and showing how little they really respect the supernatural shenanigans going on here, Mia offers to let Riley go after all. They get the candle and timer going, and things are as anticipated at first. Riley then turns to Mia and addresses her as Me, a nickname that her mother used to use. Could it really be she's found her mother's spirit? The more they converse, the more Mia becomes convinced that that is in fact the case. It is really her. Because of this, Mia insists that Riley stay connected past the constantly stressed 90-second time limit. This proves a terrible idea, and Riley ends up horrifically injured, nearly popping out a whole ass eyeball in a brutal and disturbing moment. Kinda came out of nowhere too. I was like, oh shit, wasn't ready for that. The kids do blow out the candle and stop the attack, but as we know, the door is possibly still open, thanks to passing the 90-second limit. The blame all falls on Mia, who is shunned by Riley and her mother, assuming she must have given her boy drugs, mentioning her own sordid past in that regard. See, there you go, the drug thing coming in again. Out in the halls, Mia happens upon what sure looks like her mother. She follows her through the hospital corridors before she vanishes. She bumps into Daniel, who gives her a ride home where they have a heart-to-heart. To me, it seems like what Mia is after above all else is just some kind of real human connection or affection of any kind. She makes a minor move of sorts with her finger on his hand, and he quickly pulls away. Again, when asleep, she just tries to get closer, snuggling up to his leg while he sleeps. Yeah. Kind of weird, admittedly. They get much stranger when an older, kind of rotting lady appears crawling along the floor. She shimmies right over to Daniel and proceeds to suck down on his foot. Mia screams for it to stop, to no avail. Or was it all just a hallucination? She comes to, and it's actually her slurping down on his foot, leaving Daniel confused and violated. Well, now we know that reality can't be trusted anymore, no doubt thanks to that pesky door. Now there could be spirits all over the dang place. Mia patches things up with Jade, and they meet up with the others, learning more about the hand's supposed origins. It initially was actually attached to the body of a medium many years ago. He was said to be able to communicate with the dead, and I guess the people figured, hey, why not just cut his hand off and take it? That way they don't need him at all. Okay then. It was then encased in ceramic, where it's passed through Minnie's possession until reaching Cole and his brother, the duo from the opening, and we saw how that turned out. Of course, Josh procured it from Cole. Alarmingly, just as Mia is still seeing spirits now, Cole's brother Duckett went through the same thing. thing. Cole isn't much help regarding Riley, but notes that the longer a spirit stays in a vessel, they get weaker to the point of eventually going away entirely, although that doesn't seem to be the case with Riley. Mia has the idea to perform another shake session, this time to hopefully close the door and expel the spirit within the boy. They try a few times, but it seems to have no effect. Suddenly, a little girl spirit appears and reveals that she knows where Riley is. Wanna see? Mia's mind is flooded with gory and horrific flashes of Riley being held captive by a large rotting creature surrounded by a pile of others. Well, that's disturbing. She returns to her family home, and her distant father Max has something he has to tell her regarding her mother's passing. There was some confusion as to how Rhea died exactly, with Mia believing it was an accidental overdose on sleeping pills. She was discovered the next morning by Max, also finding scratches on the other side of the door, implying that she was trying to get out but was unable. He then drops the bombshell that it was in fact no accident, and she even left a note behind which he reads for her. Mia breaks down at the revelation, especially after her spirit told her otherwise, and refuses to accept this reality. I don't know, maybe that wasn't actually her spirit? I mean, obviously. Mia holes up in her room and does another shake to speak to her ever-decaying mother's spirit. She tells her that she can no longer trust Max, suggesting that he is evil. Just as accused, Max starts pounding violently on the door to open up, mirroring the moment when finding her mom. They also specifically show us that the real Max is actually out in the living room, meaning whatever is at the door is not real. It's all in Mia's head. She doesn't know the difference at this point, and winds up stabbing her pop in the neck with a pair of scissors. By now, Mia has completely lost touch with reality, and has also now become fully convinced that she must intervene to save Riley. And what better way to save someone than kill them? Yep, that's usually my first thought. She tricks Jade into meeting her at her house, and even makes up with her mom at the hospital. She doesn't hate her anymore, as the toxicology reports came back negative, and he's still been acting all crazy since. Well, get ready to hate her all over again in about 2 seconds. After the apology, Mia struggles with how to proceed. That all changes when she sees an injured Rue hobbling by in the hall. See, told you it would come back. Unlike before where Mia couldn't end the animal's suffering, she now feels that taking out Riley is actually for his best interest, especially when seeing the rotting woman briefly in his place. She loads him up in a wheelchair and rolls him outside and right towards a street with heavy traffic. At her home, Jade finds Max bleeding out but still alive, and realizes she's been duped, rushing back to the hospital. She does manage to intervene in Mia's batshit plan just in time, saving her brother. We hear a car collide and at first think that it was Riley, but nope, it was Mia instead that got plowed into and clearly died. She gets to her feet and is strangely teleported back to the hospital, where she passes by Riley with his family, now looking completely healed and getting discharged. The same goes for her dad, who she follows after as he faces away, unable to hear her. Along the path, she passes a mirror and notices that she doesn't have a reflection, just as in her aforementioned recurring nightmare. The lights all cut to darkness one by one, and a flickering glow appears. A hand reaches towards her, and we see a totally different crew of friends using the hand. Another guides the kid to grab her hand to let her inside, and she takes his hand in hers. In the end, her tragic fate is exactly what was also warned during the very first session. If you die when the spirits are still inside you, they take you forever. Meaning she has now become one of the many lost souls stuck in the strange spirit realm forever, and also that her nightmare has essentially come to life. That's pretty tragic. Just to really reiterate exactly what went down here, Mia has been more or less manipulated by a vengeful spirit from the very beginning. Her mother's spirit was never actually there, but the spirit in her is taking Rhea's form to more easily convince her to do what it wants. As was spelled out in the beginning, for some reason the spirit wanted Riley specifically. So really it was about getting Riley and using Mia to do so. Taking advantage of her unresolved grief was easy to do, and by taking her mom's form, Mia was more easily convinced to do what she asked. Mia so wanted it to believe that it was really her that she never doubted anything. If things had gone according to the spirit's plan, Mia would have killed Riley as they wanted, and since the spirits were still within him, he would have been the one trapped there forever. Although things got flip-flopped with Mia being the one to suffer that unfortunate fate. As for if this also means that the spirits are gone for good, or at least done with Riley, it's hard to say exactly. There are some kind of looser aspects to the hand's rules, and we do see him looking better at the end, so it must be that Mia dying kind of took his place or something like that. I'm curious to see where they could go with her character in a sequel as well. Maybe she could be the villain this time, trying to get her own body? That could be cool. I honestly feel like they left a lot of things open to potentially follow in a sequel, and guess what? They recently announced Talk to Me is on the way. But for now, that brings us to the conclusion of this Ending Explained for Talk to Me. But I might do a part 2 when it comes out on digital, because I feel like there was definitely some stuff I missed. Since turns I did write this entire script from memory after seeing it only once. So let me know if there's any other lingering questions I might have missed that you still have. Also, don't forget, before we go, you can send me requests for any movies or TV shows you'd like to see me explain by sending them my way on any of my social media accounts at FoundFlix. What did you think of Talk to Me and its ending? What are you hoping to see in the recently announced sequel? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.